Welcome back to Strides to Solutions. I'm Esther Adams, and today we're taking a friendly, curious walk through a topic that can sound dry on paper but is surprisingly fascinating: how modern science defines and measures mindfulness and why that matters for your mental health. Let's start simple. Mindfulness is often described as paying attention on purpose in the present moment with a receptive, steady attitude. But here's the twist: there isn't just one authoritative definition. Ancient sources describe mindfulness as alert, lucid watchfulness, attention plus an awareness of the mind itself. Some modern definitions add a non judgmental quality, others emphasize clear discernment, recognizing what's helpful and what isn't. So, at minimum, we're talking about focused attention and meta awareness, the part of you that notices what your mind is doing while it's doing it. Now, the big question: can you actually measure mindfulness? Scientists have tried, using well known questionnaires you might see in studies or apps. One popular tool is the Mindful Attention Awareness Scale, which focuses on how often you're present versus on autopilot. Another approach looks at multiple facets, like noticing inner experience, describing it in words, acting with awareness, and how judgmental or accepting you are of what you notice. Different scales grew out of different traditions and therapies, which means they don't all measure the exact same thing. That's not a flaw, it's a reminder to match the tool to the question you're asking. But wait, if mindfulness is about attention, why not just measure attention and call it a day? Because they're related but not identical. Think of attention as the spotlight, and mindfulness as the spotlight plus the lighting technician who watches and adjusts the beam. You can have intense focus without noticing you've tunnel visioned. Mindfulness keeps an eye on the quality and breadth of your focus. That's why people who score higher on mindfulness measures aren't just better at concentrating, they also tend to recover faster from emotional upsets, show less reactivity to stressful images, and report healthier patterns in daily life. Does any of this matter outside a lab? Yes. Across different kinds of research, questionnaires, brief mindfulness exercises, and full training programs, similar patterns keep showing up. People higher in mindfulness, or who increase it through training, often show calmer brain patterns linked to positive emotional style. Think more approach motivation and less chronic withdrawal. Less amygdala reactivity. The brain's threat detector isn't constantly spiking. Stronger engagement of prefrontal regions, the parts that help you regulate, reframe, and choose your response. Healthier stress biology, lower cortisol responses under social stress, and better heart rate variability. Real life benefits: lower anxiety and depression, less perceived stress, and more well being. In other words, mindfulness isn't just a warm idea, it shows up in the nervous system, the endocrine system, and in everyday behavior. There are, however, a few spicy debates. Don't worry, we'll keep it fun. First, what is mindfulness? Acceptance, discernment, both. Second, can a self report scale truly capture it, or are people just rating their attention lapses? Third, do trait mindfulness scores, your general tendency, predict anything important beyond plain attention? And fourth, how does mindfulness develop? Only through formal meditation, or can it grow informally through life? Here's where the research lands so far. On definition, different traditions emphasize different ingredients, but attention plus meta awareness is the common core. On measurement, self report isn't perfect, but many scales predict meaningful outcomes, even after accounting for attention alone. On prediction, higher mindfulness scores relate to reduced emotional reactivity within a fraction of a second after a stimulus, suggesting the mind is calming the signal early, not only cleaning up after the fact. And on development, formal training helps, no surprise, but it's not the only pathway. Secure relationships, supportive classrooms, intentional daily routines, and even brief practices can nudge mindfulness upward. Think of it like fitness. Structured workouts accelerate progress, but active daily life matters too. One particularly interesting finding is synergy. People who already show a bit more mindfulness before a course often benefit more from the training. That doesn't mean beginners can't improve. It means your starting point, however small, can act like kindling for a larger fire. Also encouraging, improvements from training tend to last beyond the novelty window, especially when practices are integrated into daily life. Let's translate all this into what you can do this week. No incense required. First, practice the two-step of mindfulness. Focus and notice. Pick one everyday anchor, your breath at red lights, the feeling of your feet when you stand up, or the first sip of your morning drink. Step 1, place attention there. Step 2, notice the mind as it attends. Is it tight, open, impatient, curious? That tiny move is meta awareness in action. Second, widen the narrow. Mindfulness isn't only laser focus, it's also flexible zoom. Try a 30-second panoramic check in, sounds, body sensations, emotions, thoughts, then gently zoom back to one anchor. You're training both breadth and stability. Third, mind your post event window. After a stressful moment, your brain networks are trying to settle. Give them help. 3 slow exhales, name what you feel, and pick one small regulating action: a brief walk, water, a stretch. Early recovery prevents frustration from hardwiring into mood. Fourth, add friendly discernment. Non judgmental doesn't mean non discerning. It means you drop harsh self criticism while still choosing wisely. This thought is here. Is it helpful right now? That blend of kindness and clarity is where behavior change actually sticks. Fifth, keep it ridiculously small. The research shows even brief practices can shift attention and reactivity. 1 minute, many times, often beats 30 minutes, never. If you enjoy data, you can even self track without turning your life into a science fair. Once a day, jot down: was I present for what I was doing? How fast did I recover after a stressor? Did I notice my mind as it wandered? Over a week, you'll see patterns and progress. Before we close, a respectful nod to the limits. No questionnaire fully captures a living practice. Scales reflect the ideas that created them, so results should be interpreted in context. And mindfulness isn't a cure-all. It's a skill that plays well with others. Therapy, medication when appropriate, social support, movement, nutrition, spiritual practice, if that's part of your life. It's one strong string in a well-tuned instrument. Here's the bottom line. Mindfulness is both ancient and measurable, both simple and nuanced. Definitions vary, but the heartbeat is steady attention with clear meta-awareness. You can grow it through formal training or everyday micro moments. And yes, it predicts things that matter: less reactivity, steadier mood, healthier stress responses, and more choice in how you show up. Thanks for listening to Strides to Solutions. I'm Esther Adams. If this episode sparked ideas, try one tiny practice today and notice not just what you pay attention to, but how your mind is attending. That's the quiet superpower. Until next time, stay curious, be kind to your nervous system, and keep learning in new ways. If you are experiencing symptoms that concern you, like persistent low mood, anxiety, or difficulty functioning, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional. You don't have to navigate it alone.